There isn't that much true early speed in this year's Kentucky Oaks, and several fillies have similar stalking running styles. Even though the field is smaller than for the Derby because of the shorter runs of the first turn, the draw could matter more. Candide ran a big figure in her debut last year and repeated it to win the Alcibiades, but she hasn't got back to that level since. We don't like that she didn't run better in her return, and she'll have a terrible post if she draws in. Everland tries dirt for the first time here, but she's already developed a lot and is still way too slow to compete. As a broodmare, Molly's Magic has done pretty well, especially considering who she's been bred to. Fiona's Magic is by the great St. Patrick's Day, and she got to a decent figure to win a Grade 2 at Gulfstream before bouncing terribly last time. Even on her best, she's not nearly good enough here. Gin Gin looked like she might be headed somewhere good last year, but she stalled out this year, and there's no reason to expect the big jump she would need. Into Champagne was precocious enough to run a decent figure as a June 2-year-old, then presumably went wrong. She returned to the same level, then moved forward nicely, and another forward move would have made her a contender here. But instead she backed up, making this a weak pattern. Last year, Just FYI didn't run very fast. She was maybe the 10th best 2-year-old filly, but she managed to end up undefeated and champion. This year, she came out running much faster and lost because she got caught wide at Keeneland, while Leslie's Rose got the win by running the same figure but with a rail trip. The public will probably play this one to go forward second off a layoff, but big efforts off a layoff are still big efforts, and that one was a 4-point new top. Just FYI might be able to pair up that effort, which puts her in the mix here, but we think a forward move is unlikely. Lemon Muffin broke through with a big one at Oaklawn in February, but that was not only a 4-point new top, it represented 6 points of development from her 2-year-old top. Not surprisingly, she bounced badly, and we wouldn't be surprised if the big one knocks her out for a while. The caveat here is the Lucas runners have put up some big figures recently. Mandy Pope went into 7 figures to purchase Leslie's Rose, and the filly ran big figures in her 2 sprints to begin her career, before running a stinker at a shorter price at a Gulfstream stake. Sent 2 turns, she was able to win a Grade 1 last time, but that was mostly due to Irad working out an inside trip. She didn't run any faster than she did in her first 2. We don't love that this filly hasn't developed at all from 2 to 3, but it also wouldn't shock us if she moved forward now. Note that Pletcher has not done as well at Churchill as elsewhere. Our Pretty Woman was another expensive yearling, and another who seems on her way to justifying the price. This filly moved forward in her second start, and again last time, in her first try in a fast track. With each forward move, a bounce becomes more likely, since there are more 3-year-old fillies that can run an 8 without bouncing that can handle a 6. But another short-term forward move is not impossible, making this one a borderline contender. Power Squeeze exploded to a big new top in her first try as a 3-year-old, then won another stake despite bouncing badly. With 7 weeks rest, she got back to her best last time, but she would still need a solid forward move to contend here, and we don't think that's going to happen. She's already developed 6 points from her 2-year-old top. Regulatory Risk got down to a decent top in her third start and got back to it last time. It's possible she could go through it to a new top right away, but she has too many lengths to make up. Tapit Gin Alley ran a big figure to win in her debut last year, but hasn't gotten any faster since then. What's fast for a September 2-year-old is different than what's fast for a May 3-year-old, and she would need to improve a lot to be relevant here. Last November at Churchill, Tarifa acted up in the starting gate and ran poorly, but she's run well in every other start as it has been gradually improving. Having said that, the figures she earned in those small fields at fairgrounds were just okay, so she will be a bit over bet. We do note this is a Godolphin production, and they do get big performances in big races, so they are mixed signals. Torpedo Anna ran well in her debut last fall and a lot better when she was wheeled back just 14 days later. But then they brought her back again on just 2 weeks rest, and not surprisingly, she bounced. 3 races in a month is a lot to ask, especially for a 2-year-old. She finally got a break after that, and when she returned this year at Oaklawn, she immediately got back to her 2-year-old top. This filly has already run 2 figures as fast as anyone in this field has ever run. And with 5 weeks rest into this, is clearly the most likely of the ones who have run that fast to run a new top. A couple of other points. First, this gal has had a series of wide trips, but it's because she has drawn way outside in every start. Usually Brian Hernandez is the second coming of Calvin Burrell. Also, it's important to watch how McPeak's runners are doing Derby week. When he gets hot, everything in his barn runs tops. We like Torpedo Anna, but how much we like her will depend on where she draws and whether McPeak's horses are firing. Ways and Means had the same 2-year-old top as Torpedo Anna and came off the layoff at the same figure. So she handicaps the same way, right? Well, up to a point. This filly was much more precocious, running big in 2 starts over the summer. And by definition, precocious horses develop early and tend to do less developing with age. Also, Chad Brown does better off layoffs than McPeak, making a forward move somewhat less likely. Still, Ways and Means is clearly a strong contender. Like Torpedo Anna, she too has been getting wide trips, which is why she got a much better figure than Power Squeeze last time. The draw will matter. Val Brinkerhoff put blinkers on Where's My Ring in February, and this filly immediately got a lot faster. But she would need to improve even more to contend here, and after more than 5 points of development already, that's not likely. There's some chance that Claravich will scratch regulatory risk to move Ways and Means inside a spot and let Our Pretty Woman in to put more speed in the mix. If they don't, it probably means they will send Ways and Means. We liked Torpedo Anna before the draw, and with all the contenders drawn outside her, she might be able to win just by repeating her last. She's a clear pick, and Ways and Means is the other we would consider using.